You are tuned to Anywhere the Needle Drops. Hey world, this is Justin, I am your host, and welcome to the show. Today we feature my conversation with Jonelle Carter of River Road Trio. Gonna be a good one for you. But how are we all doing out there? It's July. It's July in the Midwest. If you're here in the Midwest with us, it's thick, it's sticky, it's hot, it's what it is, right? We choose this. If we live here, we choose this, and you know what? It's what it is. We still go out there and we do our things outdoors, and we just sweat it out, folks, right? I was at a blues fest all day yesterday in a vineyard, and you know what? We just hung out in the thickness and the heat and just had a good old time, and we enjoyed the music regardless. That's what we do here in the Midwest. Even though it's gross outside, we make the best of it. So yeah, I hope you're staying cool out there, having a good time, enjoying summer festivals and whatever else the warmer months bring you. But yeah, so River Road Trio, Jonelle Carter on the show today. We talk all about her career as a musician and kind of the other things she has her hands in. She's got her hands in a lot. She and her partner also have a podcast called No Stage Lights. That's really all about, their lifestyle as artists, musicians, entrepreneurs, and, kind of all the things that go along with that world, being, a couple in that realm while doing all those things. So definitely check that out. And she's just Jonelle's a wonderful artist, always there to give advice, just trying to lend a hand to whoever she can. Big supporter of mentoring others, particularly female artists. Helping the female artists get themselves out there and make it in this world of music. So it's a fun chat. You should definitely check it out. And also, we talk a little bit about them sort of stumbling into becoming a kind of a hit band in the European line dance realm. Yeah, that's a thing. So good times all around. Before we get to the chat though, you're gonna get a little taste of River Road Trio with the song Best to You. The conversation comes after. Here's to life.
You drove me crazy, tracking grass inside. From the makeshift blue tarp slip and slide. But that was just how we stayed cool. When all your friends had passes to the pool. And all those plastic Easter eggs you'd find. With generic jelly beans inside. We're from the neighbor's moving sale. But that smile on your face said you couldn't tell. One man's trash is another man's treasure. I dug deep so you could do better, 'cause that's what mamas do. I can't count the things I juggle. Hope you never feel the struggle that I went through. But try to give the best to you. And on your birthday, back when you turned 9, blowing out the candles on that Duncan Hines. You were wishing for a baseball bat, and I was wishing I had time to bake that cake from scratch. But an empty box just seemed to save a mom like that. One man's trash is another man's treasure. I dug deep so you could do better, 'cause that's what mamas do. I can't count the things I juggled. Hope you never feel the struggle that I went through. Try to give the best we're just a start of where we are now, and I'm so proud. One man's trash is another man's treasure, and I dug deep so you could do better. That's what mamas do. I can't count the things I juggled. Hope you never feel the struggle that I went through. Try to get the best to
Jonelle from River Road Trio, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, glad we got this going. So your music came across my ears. I was on a road trip with Abby Thomas. I spent much of last year shooting a documentary about kind of the year in her life with that album and the awards and all that process, and got to go down to Nashville with them for the award show. And I think it was on the way back, it was Abby and Caitlin and I, and they both tossed on some of your music, and I was like, who's this? And they're like, oh, you need to talk to them. So yeah, I'm glad this worked out. So
They're so great. And, Abby and I just had the pleasure of spending some time together, which it's like every 3 years we get to do that just because of her tour schedule, my tour schedule, and then our distance and, where we live. But there's just nothing like other female artists who support other female artists. So Abby's like so great at that.
oh yeah, I mean, it's definitely, and we can get into that a little bit in a moment, but I mean, it's definitely. I have spoken to a lot of female musicians about the particular challenges that you can face in this music world and out on the road and that sort of a thing, and it adds another layer of complexity for you all. So it's good you had that support system,
Yes. So I'm so glad that she helped you discover us. That's awesome.
Yeah. And actually, Abby's one of those people that's so great about support. Whatever musician she's working with, whoever she's working with, she does tend to take care of her people once you're one of her people. So I can definitely see how you guys have a good thing going on there. So
Yeah.
So let's see, is it Chicago area? Where are you guys actually based out of?
Yeah. So we live just southwest of Chicago. So if you look at like a weather map in Illinois, we're like right where the Chicago news ends. So there's a big debate whether we're a suburb or not. But we're just southwest, about 60 miles from the city, from downtown. And with that, it's a really interesting place to be because we can serve that Chicago suburban area. We can also serve the central Illinois area, which we do. So we kind of span out across. We're really centrally located in that sense.
Definitely. Yeah. We're up here in another one of those locations that's kind of sort of in its own little unidentifiable hole. We kind of have to create our own identity. Here I'm in a town called Niles, Michigan, and really in a lot of ways we have more in common with our friends across the border in Indiana than we do with the rest of Michigan, just because we're kind of in this isolated little corner over here doing our own things. So I get that.
Yeah. So you kind of make your own,
Yeah. And that gives you a nice, I would say probably a nice, varied set of audiences, I mean, you've got kind of more the rural thing, with Illinois, but then also obviously the city and what's going on over there. So.
Yeah, 100%. And it is, we always think, are we in the right area for what we're doing? And especially when it comes to like original music.
Yeah.
And there is, I think, a fine line and a balance of how we show up in those areas. Our area, the more rural area, demands more of a cover scene. And then, you can get up into some really cool, like songwriter events and things like that closer to the city. So,
Is that songwriting world? Is that kind of how you were connected to the musicians that up this way? Is that how you guys know each other?
Yeah. So my husband is my guitar player and we've been playing music for 18 years together. He and I, well, the band River Road was playing a festival, a very big deal in our town called Corn Fest.
All right.
It's huge, Grundy County Corn Fest, and Justin Stoblin has connections in my hometown here in this Morris. And so Justin and Caitlin were here for the festival because it is kind of a big deal. It's like 5 days of just like nothing but food and music and, you know.
Yeah, yeah. People shouldn't doubt those kind of things. I mean, one of those things I went with Abby to is the Strawberry Fest in Crawfordsville. That was a huge deal, and all over this rural area. If you've got yourself a insert crop here fest, those are actually huge. So
They are. And we joke because, our downtown is very, very long. And the only time we walk from one end to the other is if there's like a pork chop on a stick at either end waiting for you, we don't really just do that on a regular basis. But Caitlin and Justin were here and they caught our show and they were like, oh my gosh, we loved it. Like they were so cool. We hit it off immediately. And through them, they have a neighbor, Jake, from Starheart, I think is the name of the band.
yeah,
Right?
yep, I know Jake. Yep.
And so they passed our music along to Jake, and Jake passed our music along to who is now one of my very dearest friends. And her name is Ashley, and she's in Nashville and she put shows together. So we went to Nashville for a show and they needed another artist to come and be on that bill. And Caitlin's like, you should call my friend Abby. And that's how we all kind of, connected.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So the first time I met Abby wasn't in Indiana or Illinois. It was actually at the Sutler in Nashville for an original showcase. Yeah.
That goes to show you, it's one of those things where people, I think of music kind of the way they do like the movie business, where it's just this maybe kind of massive world with all these people. And in some ways it is, but also it is kind of a small world. I mean, I'll talk to, songwriters from Colorado or something like that who know people here because of just the interconnectedness between the songwriters and all that, those shared experiences.
Yeah. It's wild because you're right. It is such a huge, huge industry, but also very small. And when I speak, so sometimes I'll go and speak to like students who are going into the arts or into music. And that's one of the topics we talk about is the importance of connection, especially never, just kind of blowing something off that you might think, because we're all like, especially younger artists, I think we're all, in it for the grind. Like we're ready to go and we're ready to get it. And it's so important to appreciate every connection you get because you don't know down the road if you're going to work together, if you're going to play together. There's so many things that I try to teach younger artists and say it's so important to know everybody and to respect everybody because you don't know who is going to be your next your next manager or whatever. So
Sure, yeah. I think that's a lesson for life in general,
For sure. Yeah. We do get sometimes caught up in the hustle and put our blinders on and want to go forward, no matter what it takes. And it's really important to pay attention to those around you. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, music's one of those worlds, just like any other art. When you turn to it as, your passion, as your career, there's that sense of scarcity that can come to play, and some of that's real, and some of that is, maybe a little bit manufactured, but it has an effect on how people act, and it's important to know that like we're better off helping each other out than we are, fighting.
For sure, and to kind of piggyback on that, I always say not only could I not play the same venue 7 nights in a row, but I don't want to, so there definitely is that there's enough to go around. I love to be able to share contacts and network in that way too with other artists because, if there's a great venue, I think somebody would fit well in. I'm not going to just gatekeep it because, for what? Unless you want to play there 365 days a year.
Yeah. Yep.
Kind of crazy. So
Yeah, I mean, I think musicians out there, if you're just getting into this world or you're trying to make it happen, yeah, helping each other out, making those connections, networking, especially in a world where the major label thing is not really viable or probably not even the goal anymore for most people. It's just
Yeah.
yeah, you can do this and you can make a career out of it. And people are a part of making that a success.
Yes. And I love that it is going in that direction. And I kind of came in, so I'm in my mid 40s. So in my early 20s, it was still very much, indie music and indie labels were out there, but it was still, you want to send your stuff, these press packages. Like I remember opening folders and slicing like a, opening to stick that CD in there, and you're
Yep.
sending them off and mailing them off to major labels. And that was the goal. And it was two visits to Nashville ago for me. And I really had this moment of clarity. And I kind of had to mourn that dream and say goodbye to it. And I'll be honest, it was a very emotional, hard week. And there's that dog we're talking about. And um but after I kind of healed my heart from that, then I was able to say, wow, there's this whole independent world that I feel welcome
Yeah, definitely. And it is, yeah, the dream, I guess, that we're raised on. I mean, I'm not a musician. I'm a huge music fan. It's a huge part of my life, but I don't actually play anything. But my dream world has kind of been in the realm of this, of telling stories this way and making movies and that sort of thing. And we're raised on these grand stories of kind of making it big. And in reality, and I think it's to the better of all of us. There's actually a much for lack of a better term, smaller way to do this. And I think it's more real that way.
Yeah. Well, and although I sometimes complain about wearing all of the hats,
Yeah.
I'm creating my videos and I'm writing the songs and singing the song, there it is sort of kind of like that badge of honor in a way. But when I really sit down and think about it, to have that creative control kind of taken away, as many people do when they're in a major label situation. Maybe there's some creative control, but I don't think I could handle, especially now.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe when I was 20, a developmental deal like something like that would have worked, but I really know who I am now. I know where I'm going, and I like to have control over our art, and that creative piece is still ours.
Yeah, and you can take risks that, maybe in a situation they might be more risk averse. I forgot about the story, and I was listening to a very old episode of this show the other day, and I know a musician out in the Baltimore area, and years ago he pitched this idea, and it was a concept album and this beautifully illustrated book that went along with it, and sort of this epic kind of project. And that's nothing that he could have walked into any kind of label and gotten that across the board. But
Right.
he did it himself. He did it via crowdfunding and was able to make this beautiful project, and take this big risk. And yeah.
That's amazing. And crowdfunding is it's such a great concept, and it works.
Yeah. Yep.
People are invested, there's skin in the game, they like to support, and you can give back in so many ways. Yeah, I think it's, like I said, once it was just, mourning that dream that I held on for 20 plus years of, this is where I need to be, this is where I want to be. And I was standing on Music Row looking at some of the, big publishers and labels. And, my husband will tell you, like, it was a good, ugly cry. And I got it out, and I thought, you know what? I don't know if I'll ever go back. Now I'm in a different mindset. I love going back. I love going and having rights and co-writes and stuff like that. It's just a whole different reason to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
So at that point, in that era of your career, were you a solo artist? Were you River Road Trio at that point? When did this particular outfit come together?
Yeah, so we were River Road Trio. So in 2011, we were playing in our kind of big cover band called the Clients, all three of us. So Kyle is our piano player, Terry, my husband, guitar, and then I'm singer songwriter. We all three sing. We really pride ourselves on these heavy harmonies. And we were playing in a cover band called the Clients, which we still play in once in a while. That's kind of like our family, our fun base, you know?
Yeah.
And we had some restructuring happening within the band, and some of our members weren't going to be able to play as frequently. And the three of us were really relying on that income. And so I said, well, what if we take this opportunity to kind of branch off, have the trio, we can work more, and maybe we can start to write some stuff, which is what I came from, a writing background. Cover music just came later for me. And so that's how it started. So in 2011, we started River Road Trio. It was like May of 2011. July of 2011, I received a pretty serious diagnosis, and I had cancer, a very rare type of cancer in my throat. And the tumor was wrapped around my vocal cord.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the only treatment for this type of cancer is surgery. And so in September of 2011, I had this major surgery, cancer-free. It was a beautiful thing. I was given about 6 weeks to recover before I could step back behind the mic and start singing again. And when those 6 weeks came and went, I was not able to sing at all. Something had happened to my voice in surgery. We went to all of the best specialists in Chicago. We went all over and studied and tried to figure out what was going on. And we discovered that my vocal cord was frozen. I had like a frozen vocal cord, which can happen in trauma. And of course, with this operation, there was a lot going on, a 7-hour surgery in my throat. And so they said, this vocal cord is frozen. It's not doing what it's supposed to do. We don't know if it'll ever come back. It might not. So it was a little over a year where I couldn't sing anything. I mean, my husband and I would sit on the bed, he'd play the guitar, I would try, and nothing would come out. And so in that year, I got to take a really good look at what I was using my voice for. Is this where I'm supposed to be, putting my efforts in this cover world? Or am I supposed to be really paying attention to what I'm writing, the stories that I'm telling? And really in that year is when I knew I needed to get back behind the pen, and before I could get back behind the mic.
Sure.
And so we started writing our first album. And at that point, I'm like, I don't even know if I'll be able to sing the album. But luckily, my voice came back just as quickly as it went. Just one day, it was back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I actually yelled at my kids. That's how it came back. They were in the car and they were acting up, and I yelled, knock it off. And true story, and they were like, oh, Mom, your voice is back. So it broke the cobwebs out. But so after that, I was really focused on, hey, I've been given this gift back. I'm going to use it the way I'm supposed to be using it. And we wrote the Unloaded album, we began to write the Unloaded album and recorded it in 2015.
That's a fantastic story. I just to be a fly inside that car, seeing that.
Well, I always joke that within that year there was many emotions and a lot of many bottles of wine. It was it was a struggle, And,
did you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's the.
I mean, was there? Did they have you doing any kind of like physical therapy, vocal therapy, in attempt to wake those muscles up? How does that even work in that situation?
Yeah, so I did go to a vocal coach in downtown Chicago who specialized in this type of injury, and she and I only worked together once or twice, and it's awful when you're trying to sing and you can't sing, and she sees this all the time. but I'm like, oh my God, like I swear I can sing. I promise I don't always sound like this. And she and I only worked together a couple of times, but she gave me so much hope. And she was the one that said, you know, your range is so much larger than you are giving yourself credit for. And so my husband and I, after she said that, we started trying to like work on things where it would stretch and move those muscles and vocal cords. And I don't know if that was a big part of it. There was nothing definitive that helped me. It just seemed like one day it'd be great, one day it wouldn't be. But we tried everything, and it was truly a waiting game to see if it would come back or not.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I'm sure glad it did. That's a pretty harrowing experience for anybody, but particular if using your voice as a part of your art and your career. That's a lot.
It was, and it's threaded. It threads my identity even to my marriage, because my husband and I met through music. We were musicians and friends and business partners first before we were ever, partners and married or anything like that. And so it really did. It was everything about me that all of a sudden wasn't.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting, I've written a couple books and talk a lot about that experience. And now I've made a career public speaking and going out and, teaching people how to use their voice in different ways, not actually physically, but finding confidence to, and to find who they really, really are, and to help them understand that when we're given a gift or a talent, it is imperative that we use it because the world needs it.
Yeah.
And if we ignore it, I'm sure like if you don't pay attention to those gifts you've been given, all kinds of things happen, right? Illness and stress. And when you're in alignment with what you've been given to use, it creates a really wonderful world.
It really does. I can just speak to the my thing of sort of storytelling through this and through other venues that I work through, and there's no point that I feel more who I am and more just in line with the universe than like right here in these moments doing this kind of a thing. And so my sound guy for this show, Paul, he and I talk about this often about kind of in these times we're in history and people trying to figure out what we even do in reaction to some of the things going on in the world. And obviously this doesn't fix everything, but it is important to keep on making your art and those things that bring joy into the world, that kind of empower us to do the other things we have to do.
For sure. Yeah. It's so, so important. And until you get it, you almost don't get it.
Yeah.
And then you have these, I call them boulder moments, when sometimes you're a little, pebble is thrown at you, and then maybe a stone and then a rock. And then sometimes it's a boulder. And this was my boulder.
Yeah.
This was my boulder experience. So
yeah. Yeah. And I think it goes to show, to anyone listening out there, pursue your thing, even if it's something that's, maybe it's not your job or whatever. But if you've got that talent, if you've got that passion, go for it. I mean, I've been doing this, show now for, it's been, I think 14 years, maybe longer. And, I started out in a corner room in an apartment. Actually, the first episode was recorded in a basement in my mom's house. I mean, over the years, all these moments have happened where things have kind of clicked together and made this a bigger part of my life. And, it goes to show, like, pursue those things that you're meant to do and it will take you places.
I couldn't agree more. Yes. Yeah. And I've created my career around trying to teach this and guide people towards that. And it's beautiful when somebody all of a sudden like has this realization of like, wait, I'm really, really great at this. And are you telling me I can maybe do this, for a living? And it's like, yes, you can.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So, at what point in your life did you, have you been, writing since you were a child? Has it always been writing? Has it always been music, or some combination of the two?
Yeah. So I started as a writer very young, 3, 4 or 5. As soon as I could write, I was writing short stories and poems. And,
Yeah.
I was published at the age of 7 in a poetry book,
Nice.
young authors, things like that all through school. And my family, my parents don't play any instruments or sing, but my father is a music lover and he's so knowledgeable. And so there was music in our home all of the time. My mom played a little piano. We were in every lesson you could ever imagine, like piano lessons, guitar. I was playing like flute and saxophone, all of it. Now my brother plays all of the instruments, sings, and doesn't do any of it as like a career or anything. I have the career, but I don't remember how to play anything. So enough to write. So I would, play a little bit of what I knew on guitar to write some songs and then take them into like my producer and say, here, help.
Yeah.
Same with piano, but really started out as a writer and storyteller. And it wasn't until my late teens that I was like, oh, I can combine the two, like my love of music and my love of writing. And so those poems and stories started to become song ideas then.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I do have to ask before we go any further, what was dad playing around the house, or mom for that matter?
Oh my gosh, everything. Tons of Credence, like so much like John Fogerty. I
Nice.
love like, yeah. But then, some jazzy stuff too. He would put like jazz on at night. I remember when we got like this whole surround house sound system of like the little cube Bose speakers. Do you remember?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, 2 in the living room, and then we had 2 like on our back porch, and we could hit like this button and play music through the whole house. And so we were listening to everything. My mom was born in France, and
Oh,
so
wow.
there were many, many days where we would have, French music playing, Willie Whalen, it was a huge span. And I didn't realize it at the time, but it's really turned me into a very, eclectic music lover, because it's like I like anything and everything.
Yeah, yeah. Whenever I go to someone's house for the first time, to the extent that these things still exist, I gravitate toward. I want to see your bookshelf. I want to see your music collection, and I want to see if you still have one, DVD, movie collection. Those 3 things. That's going to tell me a lot of what I need to know about you right there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we had this big picture window in our living room, and these super heavy drapes that you had to like pull the rope to open. And so I would create shows. I would put music on, I would create the whole intro and like maybe a dance number, or, you name it. And my brother was a stagehand, and he would, pull the curtain. And so creating something out of nothing, creating shows and sets and ideas, that was like, I loved it. And we have a podcast, and we have currently a couple different irons in the fire, and our whole basement is like sets that I've built, and I love it.
That's
So,
awesome. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's like turning childhood play into what we do as adults, which I think we need more of personally. So
100% agree. Yes. Yes. And so it was my early 20s that, karaoke was a big deal in the late 90s. And that's when I was, turning 20 and 21. And so I found myself in a situation where I was a single mom of a very young, my son was 1 at the time, and I had just turned 21. And I had moved home, and all my friends were going out to bars and karaoke on the weekends. And so I grew up on the Illinois River, and we have a lot of boaters that would come from like the city down to where we lived, about an hour out. And I was at a bar one night, and there was karaoke, and this gentleman said like, hey, you should sing. I can't remember. I think it was like Grease or something, like duet. And so we did it. And he's like, hey, I live in the suburbs and I have a band. We're looking for a singer.
yeah,
You should try out. And I did, and that was my first band that I stayed with for 5 years.
Nice. That's awesome.
Cut my teeth with them. They were like brothers, you know. We played shows on the river and just fun stuff. And I was singing, like the Pretenders, and I mean, just all kinds of things that I just didn't know anything about, right? And learning how to be in a live band situation. Um, so that's kind of how I got my start in live music. My husband has been playing since he was 5 and playing in bands since he was probably about 10. His father had a band, a country band.
Nice.
So he comes from a much richer live background than I do, but I have a much richer writing background than he does. So it's a good combination.
I mean, that has to be kind of thrilling for your dad, though, as a music fan, having you be a creator of great music now.
Oh, he loves it. And it's so funny because my dad is a retired financial advisor. And so, in my early 20s, when I was like, I think I want to think this is what I want to do, you could be like, oh, good. How much does that pay? And it's like, well, like a bucket of beer and maybe, a free hamburger. He was like, oh God, what have I done? He's very, very proud. We even stuck him behind the soundboard, when I was like 22, and here, have fun. Oh, he still talks about it. Yeah. That cover experience though quickly turned, I was able to pull my writing into it pretty quickly. I love to tell this story because the band I was in would go to this open mic in the suburbs every Tuesday night. And one of those Tuesday nights, they couldn't go, but I went anyway. And I ended up on this stage singing like Son of a Preacher Man or something with this backing band, the house band. And they were all guys that were on the road and that this is like their fun when they were home. So guys that were playing with like Sonia Dada, Edgar Winter, Dave Mason, Fleetwood Mac. I mean, big heavy hitter players. Yeah. And it's really in those moments that I really got to cut my teeth and learn how to play with excellent players. Not only that, I met my producer, and he's, early on said to me, do you write anything? And I said, I do. And he said, let's get you in here in the studio. And we co-wrote and published my first solo album. So that was in like 2003.
Nice.
Yes. And so that was just a little bit of how I kind of went from singing the Pretenders on the river to having my own stuff.
Yeah, that's how you do it though. You get out there and you do the thing, and then things start clicking. So
yes.
So let's fast forward then a bit. What are you guys up to these days? Do we have any releases in the works? Are we going out there doing some shows, doing some touring? What's the plan?
Yeah, so we have some really exciting stuff happening. We have our like summer shows are gearing up, right? So we've got our summer schedule, but in August we're actually flying to Europe. So we have 3 or 4 songs off of that have been singles that are line dance hits in Europe.
All right.
Like, super random, but there's a big, huge line dance scene. A lot of choreographers that are writing dances to American music. So what happens in Europe are these bands need to learn the music because the choreographers bring their troops of dancers to the shows. So it's different than here when you would just go like and dance. The band's set list needs to be like corresponding with the choreographer's dance list.
Sure.
And so our songs ended up on these lists. So we have all these bands in Europe that play our music.
That's amazing. I think I recall Caitlin telling that story. How did your songs get into that world? Any ideas?
I don't. It was 2020. We were all figuring things out. Everybody was shut down. like I told you, love building a set. So I was like, you guys, this is a great opportunity. We're going to build a set and we're going to just do live shows, stream them on social media. And so all of a sudden our world opened up to all of these new fans that had never heard of us because we were just showing up in their feed. And I think that's how I think that somebody just caught something in France and liked it. And then through like Spotify or something, they just started pulling our music in. I wish there was a like better answer, but it was just random.
Hey, I mean, that sometimes is how those things go. And you say thank you to the universe and, keep on
100%.
going.
Okay. And of course, like I said, my mom was born in France, so I have family there and they were very, very excited. So we were invited to play a festival in Albertville, France, south of France in August with a band called Crazy Pug. They are a steampunk band.
Okay.
They're a steampunk band that plays country music because that's what the demand is right now.
So when you say they're a steampunk band, is there costuming involved? I mean, okay.
Oh, yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. My husband's like, do you think I can get a top hat and like a clock? I'm like, no. But yes, I mean, I'll send you a link to this stuff because it's just the most random thing. And so this Crazy Pug band has been playing our music and they invited us to come to this festival and play. And so we're headlining. They are going to be our backing band. There's a language barrier. Nobody speaks English in the band and nobody speaks French in ours. So we're going to just pray that, music, the universal language, shows up. And we have a 90-minute set in Albertville.
That's amazing.
So that's really exciting for River Road. We have a new venture starting. So I'm really excited about it. You went to the Josies.
Yes.
So you kind of see, we've done them 2 or 3 years in a row. And we really quickly realized that our branding with River Road Trio is confusing. We're a trio that records music with full band sound. And most of the time for original music, we show up as a duo. So the duo is who went to the Josies to represent, and we play a lot of duo original shows.
Okay.
So we're like, man, our branding's all over the place. And so as a remedy to that, we're keeping River Road. We're going to continue to do what we do with River Road, playing live shows, doing all the things, but we're branching off a little original project called Keeping Carter. And that any new music that we have coming is going to fall under this Keeping Carter name. And it'll be my husband and I, and it'll be two things: storyteller shows and then full band shows where we most likely will just use like a gun for hire. Like we'll kind of sub in and sub out.
Sure.
A full band situation.
So when you say storyteller shows, do you mean kind of breaking down the tale behind the song or whatever as you play it, or is that what are we looking at there? Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know how that will grow. I'm very interested in figuring out how to combine my public speaking and my motivational speaking and my stories with music. And I think there's a need for that too, according to like my agent and the people that we talk with in the speaking industry. They're like, gosh, yeah, it'd be great. Nobody's getting like both.
Yeah.
It's not something like corporations are seeing every day. And so it would be nice and new and fresh. So that's something that we are building right now as well. But I love just a listening room where we can talk a little bit about the songs and play some just really great original music. And we're at a place in our lives where I think we can do that. Our youngest is leaving for college in the fall. We have the ability to travel. We do travel a lot more with my business. And, I'm like, why don't we piggyback some of these really cool Keeping Carter shows with that? So I'm excited. The branding behind it feels clear. And, we've got every band has like, a name for their fans. Like River Road, we have the Roadies, and somebody said, "Oh, keeping Carter, you can have the keepers." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I love it." So it's falling into place really nicely. So that's going to be, I'm finding the right time to roll it out. And this is the first time I've ever actually said any of this like out loud
Ooh,
outside of my like office. So
breaking news. All right.
you're the one.
Well, that's awesome. I think that's great. I love the concept of incorporating those stories into the songs. It's not a fit for every room, but especially like you mentioned, those listening rooms. I mean, people are there and ready to hear it all. And I love, I'll go to just straight up storytelling events. And so a combination of that and music. And I mean, that's what we do here with this show and with the work I do is, it's all about telling those stories. So I'm on board. I like this.
I love it. Well, I hope we can do lots together, with whatever that looks like. But I think Keeping Carter will be a really cool, spin-off, if you will, of River Road Trio. And of course, like I said, River Road Trio is not going anywhere. We would like to make sure our fans know that,
Sure.
this is just that extra layer. And it's difficult because we do have like this identity crisis where we are playing a cover show, a 4-hour cover show, and places where they want to hear cover stuff they can sing along to, dance to. And then we've got this like group of fans and they're, requesting original music, which is great, but you can only do so many before you're going to lose your other crowd.
Yeah.
It's just the truth, right? And so it feels, it's hard to explain that to somebody in the middle of a show. Like, I know you want to hear all of our originals, but like we've got to throw Brown Eyed Girl in, or this whole section is going to probably leave. Like,
Yeah.
it's, and so I think some of our fans at some point are like, why don't you play more of your original stuff? And that's another reason we're like, there's a demand. Let's put it in the right rooms, put it in the right places, and kind of give the two different lives. So.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Is there any kind of a timeline and any of that, or is it still kind of being ironed out?
So we are in the process of figuring out exactly what our sound is going to be. So I think that's another important part. My husband and I, have been taking like trips and listening to music, going to see live shows. What I would love for this is to take the best stuff that, like, what do you love to play? What are you like? What just fills your soul? And what do I just love to write? And what do we like to listen to right now? And combine those and create, like, cultivate what our sound is going to be. And we have the time to do it right now. So we're in kind of like a study mode. And then the next step is going to be to write for the album. We do have a single that's done that's giving us some direction. And so I would say we're not going to roll out until probably 2026, just because I know how quick August is going to come along with our trip to France. And then after August, it's January,
I mean, listen, I still have projects that I was planning on launching in, I don't know, February of like 24 or something. So, I mean,
yeah, it's like this. So and I don't want to rush this, because not that this is like the last thing we're going to do, but this one feels like our baby. We have 4 children between the two of us, but we don't share any. And this one, Keeping Carter, is going to be like our baby. So right now we're just, in the like dreaming stage, and what are we going to name the baby? And,
yeah, that's awesome.
So that's where we're at. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. And then you mentioned something about having a podcast as well. What's that all about?
So we have a podcast called No Stage Lights. And it came up about because we realized that we had so much to share. We've been through a lot of different things. So many people have been. And we were starting to realize that we had this wonderful fan base. They only knew this like little sliver of who we were, who we are. And so we talk about everything from marriage to entrepreneurship. That's kind of our tagline. What's going on when all those stage lights, turn off, like in real life, when we come home. And I don't know if you've ever seen the commercial where the rockers are out on the stage, and then they get backstage and then they pull their wig off, and they're like taking their makeup off, and they're just a bunch of old guys.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Kind of that, like, that depiction of who are we when we're not on that stage, and what can we give and share to help encourage people and give hope outside of who we are as musicians.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why we have this world of podcasting, and I think even to a certain extent, people kind of turning back toward physical media a little bit, and some of these things. I mean, people are desperate for something real, and tangible, and so I think all of that things, seeing the people you are behind the scenes, is important to your fans as the music is.
Yeah, and and we've made a promise to each other, just like keeping Carter, we always say is our promise that we've made to each other to keep creating impactful music. But we made a promise to each other that we would use our experiences and our stories to entertain and bring hope, because it's just so needed.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Before we wind down here, has anything else besides that? That's a lot right there that you got coming up.
Gosh, I mean, other than a really busy summer with River Road Trio, if somebody wants to catch one of our shows, if they're in the Chicagoland area or Wisconsin, even, we have a big summer ahead. So just gearing up for that, and then our trip, and we just feel like we're in a big transitional year. So that's probably enough. I love projects, and I can stay up all night and create things. So, but my business coach and my husband both said no.
It's always important to have one of those no people in the room. There's one in my world. I have I mentioned Paul, who does sound for this show. We are creative collaborators, and we always are coming up with new ideas. And his wife Courtney is often the person that literally will stick her head in from the other room and be like, "No, you have to finish these 5 things first." And we're like, "Yes, okay, noted." Okay.
Well, yeah, I was on a call with my business coach a few weeks ago, and I was like, I love food, so I'm a big foodie, and I was like, I've got the name, and I like opened the Facebook and the social media pages already, got it all set, and I'm going to do a food blog. And she's like, "That's cute. Okay, I'm going to need you to like not just back burner that, but put it in the deep freezer."
Yep.
Then someday we can pull it out, defrost it, but not now. So
yep,
that's all the projects I'm allowed to do for the time being.
Yep, you got to have that parking lot list and go back to it later on. So yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, we'll put links in the show notes to all your stuff, so people can check out where you're going to be playing, and check out some of the other stuff you're doing, the podcast, and check out one of your books and all that stuff. So yeah, it sounds like you've got a pretty exciting, a few years really ahead of you. So
yeah, we do, and we're just trusting that the universe keeps guiding us to these things, and we're in a place in our lives where we know if it's right, it will know, and if it's not, then we can, we all learned how to pivot not that long ago. So
yep,
I'm still applying that, but and I think what you're doing is amazing. So just having the platform that you have and using it in the way that you're using it is awesome. So
well, thank you for that. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, so. All right. Well, keep us posted on any of the things you've got going on, and hopefully we can maybe get you up our direction somewhere. We've got some good stuff happening up here in the Michiana area, so
we would love that. Yes.
Awesome.
And tie everything to food, but there's a restaurant somewhere like halfway between that that I love. So. Oh,
nice. Excellent. Yeah. All right.
So we'd have food too.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. No blogging about it. Not yet.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. All right.
Thanks. You too. Take care.
Bye.
Okay.
You have been listening to Anywhere the Needle Drops from Red Chuck Productions. Keep up on new episodes of this show, our live events, and various creations and other happenings over at redchuckproductions.com or by following us on social media at Red Chuck Productions. Special thanks to Hero Jr. for our theme music, You can check them out over at herojuniormusic.com. That is Hero, H-E-R-O, Junior, J-R, music.com. A big shout out to Paul Clemson and Theory One Productions for handling sound duties and so much more. Check out their magic over at theory1productions.com. And a big thank you to Earthworks Audio for outfitting the Red Chuck Studio. See their microphones and their other products over at earthworksaudio.com. Be sure to support all of our guests by visiting their websites, social media, clicking that subscribe button, seeing them live, and checking out their merch stores. Give musicians and artists your money. We'll be back with the next episode. Until then, thank you for your time. Here's to life.